in internet land. I'm so excited to be here. It is a gorgeous day up at the old Santa Rosa Chapel, and I have been waiting for this moment since the last time we were here. I had a great time last time, and all of you wrote to me and said how much you enjoyed the classical aspect of my programs, but also mixing it up with a few little surprises here and there. I also got a lot of comments about the educational part of the recital. So today I have also prepared a program that I can tell you a lot about as we go along the way here. So I'm going to start today's program. By the way, if you didn't know what that was my wonderful group that I miss them so much playing with them live, Café Musique, MUSIQUE, and we are a Central Coast group that we were supposed to say farewell back in, I think it was, yes, April, but we are not saying farewell. We're still around, and I enjoy playing with them right inside this small black box. So the classical portion of my program will start now, and I chose kind of a favorite among people who get married, people who, even funerals, all kinds of different situations you're going to hear this piece. It's Bach and Mr. Gounod, Charles Gounod, melded together and introduced this marriage of Ave Maria. So I'm going to do a version of Ave Maria, and it has a gorgeous soaring melody that's been around now for about 167 years. And it's been recognized as one of the most popular pieces to play on every single instrument you can think of. And it was said to have first been performed on the violin. So I'm going to give you a little bit of history on this. This is a little bit of a soap opera. So to everyone's surprise, around 1859, Charles Gounod added words to this composition. It didn't have Ave Maria. It had nothing to do with it. His first wordings that he utilized, was a short poem by a woman named Alphonse de Lamartine, entitled, well, I'm not going to even try to pronounce the title of this, but he selected this poem as the text for this meditation that he wrote, and gifted a copy to his student Rosalie José. However, the letter was intercepted by Aurélie José, Rosalie's mother. She found the whole situation highly inappropriate and replied back to Mr. Gounod with an alternative text under the original poem. It was the text of the popular Latin prayer, Ave Maria. Gounod understood the hint and subsequently adopted Aurélie's version, and in 1859, the first version of Ave Maria was ever recorded. So that is the little history that I just love to tell about that piece. So here we go. I just have to find it here. Thank you all again so much for coming out today or wherever you are. Here we go. Thank you. Thank you so much. Absolutely a favorite all over the world is that one. And then, of course, there's another version of Ave Maria that you hear oftentimes around Christmas time and Easter as well. So thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to move on to something completely different, and that would be the Bartok Romanian dances. Now, why did I choose this today? Well, I wanted to, during this pandemic, I've been doing lots of lessons online. And so I've chosen a lot of student repertoire that I'm teaching my students right now. So this is giving them an opportunity to see what it's like to actually play them. And so I'm going to tell you a few little tidbits about this, but not too much. Mostly what each dance represents. So we've got the first dance. It's called Dance with Sticks, a solo dance for a young man, which includes kicking the ceiling. Okay, so you would see, like kicking the ceiling, you would think they were doing big, huge kicks from floor to ceiling. Well, that's exactly what it entails. So, but please don't try that in your living room because I don't want you to hurt yourselves. All right, the next dance, the second one, is called the waistband dance, derived from a spinning song with dancers holding each other's waists, flowing directly into dance 3. Now, dance 3, I'm not doing that one today. I'm going to go right into dance 4. So dance 4 is hornpipe dance, featuring the ancient Mixolydian mode, which is a type of scale, and you will definitely hear that. Actually, no, the fourth one I'm not doing. So On the Spot is one I am doing, and that's a really cute dance, a dance that participants basically stamp on one spot, so they never move. And then the fifth one is Romanian polka, which is a children's dance with changing meters flowing directly into the final dance, which is fast, tiny steps are performed by couples used as a courting dance. Okay, so here we go. Bartok's Romanian folk dances. but quick, right? So you can definitely trip on yourself on that one. But it's a wonderful piece of music, especially for a student who's learning different kinds of techniques, different kinds of textures and timbres, and a wonderful teaching tool, and a tricky to play. So we're going to move on now to, let's see what else is on the program. Yes. So I'm going to go to a non-classical composer that many, many people know. He's quite famous for, you remember the theme from the Civil War series on PBS. And I don't think he became famous because of that, but in the general world, he certainly did. J. Unger. And in the early 1980s, J. Unger and his wife, fellow musician Molly Mason, they run a camp called the Ashokan Camp, a summer art school specializing in fiddle and dancing. And the Ashokan Field Campus, Unger composed this tune, the Ashokan Farewell, and Mason would later give it its resonant name to commemorate the conclusion of the 1982 session of camp. So when you go to J. Unger's violin or fiddle camp, at the end of the camp, you play this tune with everybody. It's kind of a farewell. Unger had traveled through Scotland earlier in the summer, he told, and he wanted to compose a tune in the style of Scottish lament, something that would capture the sense of sadness that the camp and all of the camaraderie and community and joy it represented to him would be ending. So at a certain point in time, the mini-series genius Ken Burns, who was putting together the finishing touches on the iconic series, The Civil War, was on the lookout for songs that could serve as a soundtrack for the documentary. He happened upon the Ashokan Farewell, and he got in touch with Unger and Mason, and he immediately asked for the permission to use the song in the documentary. Of course, they consented, and actually for the whole rest of the thing, they ended up using a lot of his other songs for that whole series. For Unger, the fact that a Scottish lament was written by a Jewish guy from the Bronx was enough for him. It would become the de facto anthem of the Civil War, and by the extension of the Civil War itself, made a certain amount of sense when you hear it. The music has connected us to our past in important ways, he says. It is now a living thing. So I'm going to play the Ashokan Farewell for you. Find my accompanist. So my accompanist is in this box here. I really miss playing with real piano, I can tell you. Ian Scarf is the pianist I play with from up north, and I just miss him so terribly much. So here we go. Thank you. That's one of those tunes that also, like the Ave Maria, is going to stick around for a really long time. I never, ever get tired of playing that, ever. So, I had somebody say, hey, why don't you keep playing the seasons, because now we're going into summer, right? So, and there's been some pretty hot days. So I definitely am going to get to Vivaldi a little bit later on. But first, I have a new composer that made a one-hit wonder. He's a one-hit wonder composer. And at least for the violin, this piece is so interesting. I found out some things. I mean, once you start Googling around, you find out some things about the pieces that you're teaching, about your playing. And I'm teaching this piece to 2 different students right now, so it was fascinating for me to get it ready for today. It's by Henry Eccles, and Eccles is Eccles, and he lived from 1670 to 1742. And so what I love about it, he was born into a family of well-known musicians and composers in England, which included an older Henry, either his father or uncle to the younger Henry, grandfather Solomon Eccles, and the more famous composer John Eccles was his uncle. So the whole family was musical. And by 1720, so he was born in 1675, and by 1720, young Henry was living in Paris, where he published a set of 12 violin sonatas, 18 movements of which were borrowed from Giuseppe Valentini's works. The sonata in G minor is by far the best-known work of Henry Eccles, and its many arrangements have become a standard repertoire for viola, cello, and even double bass. And I actually heard this performed on double bass. So I'm going to play all 4, how many movements are there? Yeah, 4 movements. Sonata in G minor by Henry Eccles. And I hope you guys are all enjoying this. So nice to have you with us, and so nice to be back on Big Big Slow House Party. It's been such a delight and so necessary for us, and we thank Paul Irving and all of his crew for bringing this to us. So here we go. Perfect piece of music as far as I'm concerned. I love that echoes. And it's a perfect piece for someone who wants to learn a sort of a Baroque style but going into a more classical style. I hope that you enjoyed it. My shoulder rest fell off right in the middle with a big loud crash. Those things happen. At least I haven't broken a string yet, but I may have just cursed myself now, jinxed myself. I've had that happen. You know, the protocol in an orchestra is like if you're sitting concertmaster, which is first chair violin, if you break a string, the person from the very back of the group has to bring their violin up, not the assistant concertmaster, and then they take your violin back, and you continue playing. Most of the time, the concertmaster has a better violin than the person in the back, but that's not always the case. Like what happened to me once, to playing a Vivaldi, and I got a much better violin than the one I was playing on, so I lucked out. So thank you so much. So wonderful of all of you to support live virtual music, because this is the way it's going to be for a little while. Eventually we'll get back to it. I have a concert series here at the Santa Rosa Chapel called Cambria Concerts Unplugged. And unfortunately, we are completely plugged in. Isn't that right, Griffin? Oh, yeah. So I've got my sound guru here, Mr. Griffin, and he is helping so much make it sound good to you guys. And thank you so much for your donations. It's a really rough time for we musicians, and you have to come up with all kinds of interesting ways to make a living. I had woke up one morning with almost 102 fever, and it lasted for 2 days, scared the life out of me. Went and got tested for COVID-19, came back, and 72 hours later, it was negative. But it really was scary, so take care of yourselves out there, truly. All right, now, we are going to move on to the Vivaldi portion of the program. And as I promised, we have the season of summer. And I also have the sonnet, which I'll just briefly read to you. So, beneath the blazing sun's relentless heat, mostly in Paso Robles and Atascadero, men and flocks are sweltering, men on the flocks. So the sheep herders are just having not a good time. Pines are scorched, and we hear the cuckoo's voice, then sweet songs of the turtle dove and finch are heard. So that's all in the first movement. The second movement, the adagio, is the sheep herder's limbs are now awakened from their repose by fear of lightning's flash and thunder's roar, as gnats and flies buzz furiously around. So it's getting quite humid, and the thunderstorm is coming. And the last movement, alas, his worst fears were justified, and the farmer shakes as the heavens roar and great hailstones beat down upon the proudly standing corn. So that is not a California summer. That is an East Coast summer, or maybe Michigan. So here we go. I'm going to play 3 movements of the Vivaldi's Summer. This is... So, thank you. I'm bowing. Yeah, that probably didn't go so well for the sheep herder, I'm afraid. But as I remember, thunderstorms, that definitely was a thunderstorm. Love playing the seasons. Wonderful learning tools for students as well. And so with that, I'm going to catch my breath for a moment. And let's see, how are we doing on time here? Ooh! Awesome. Okay, so I think I'm going to play. All right, I'm going to go for my Celtic surprise, because I think that's all I got on the program. Let me check. Okay, just a minute. Yeah, all right. So, some years ago, Cafe Musique, we were like, we don't know anything Celtic. What on earth are we going to play? So we found, I think it was Dwayne English who found this, but the Secret Garden album, and it's actually not the movie Secret Garden. This whole time I've been thinking this is from the movie Secret Garden. But it's from the Secret Garden album called Earth Songs, and it's composed by Rolf Loveland. And it's kind of a la Riverdance. So, I mean, you guys you're gonna have to get your dancing shoes on, because I always do this at the end of my shows. And rock out to the reel here. It's just called the reel. Reel as in R-E-E-L. Okay, so here we go. It's like a session player now. I'm going to play along with the fiddle player on this recording. Hope it's not going to be too loud. Here we go. Yeah, that is so awesome. I just love playing that stuff. Yeah, if I had been younger, I probably would have tried out for, like in my early 20s or something. It wasn't then, like back then, I don't think they even had it, but would have tried out for one of those dancing across the stage things with my violin. Well, we're rocking out the chapel. So, well, you guys, I am so honored and so happy to have been able to, present this show to you. I do have one last piece for you, and it's from the same composer, the same album, Earth Songs, and that's going to be my final farewell to you today. Thank you again to Griffin and all of the people at Big Big Slow, Paul Irving, who is just cares about the musicians in town and all around, providing a platform for all of us to perform on, even though we're not face to face with you. We know that you are smiling and that it makes you feel good, and that's what's important. So, and for us, it gives us an opportunity to keep our chops up and keep practicing for the next time that we can get together. So, again, thanks. Thank you for your donations. They are so appreciated. And I'm going to leave you with a gorgeous piece called Fields of Fortune. So be well, take care of each other, and take care of yourselves. Here we go. And with that, I bid you all farewell and hope to see you in a nearby neighborhood soon. Please contact me, friend me on Facebook. Go to brynnalbanese.com and check out Cambria Concerts Unplugged. And I hope to see you very soon. Bye-bye.